Welcome back to Crisis Chronicles, the YouTube channel that uncovers the hidden conflicts that have shaped our world. In this episode, we delve into the lesser-known but protracted Moro Conflict, a series of separatist conflicts that have plagued the southern Philippines for decades. Join us as we explore the complexities and consequences of this enduring chapter in history. To understand the Moro Conflict, we must delve into its historical context, motivations, and the consequences that have shaped this region's quest for peace. The conflict has deep roots in the struggle for self-determination and the preservation of cultural and religious identity among the Moro people. The Moro people, or Bangsamoro people, are the 13 Muslim-majority ethno-linguistic Austronesian groups of Mindanao, Sulu, and Palawan, native to the region known as the Bangsamoro. As Muslim-majority ethnic groups, they form the largest non-Christian population in the Philippines and comprise about 5% of the country's total population, or 5 million people. Islam first reached the southern Philippines in the 13th century through Arab and Persian traders who established trade routes with the region. These traders brought with them Islamic teachings, which gradually spread and gained followers among the local population. These Islamic traders, often referred to as Arab traders, played a crucial role in the spread of Islam throughout the region. They engaged in trade activities, exchanging goods such as spices, textiles, and luxury items. Along with their commercial pursuits, these traders also shared Islamic teachings and cultural practices, contributing to the gradual acceptance and adoption of Islam by the local population. This created a region with an Islamic identity in the southern Philippines. The Moro people, predominantly residing in the southern Philippines, have a long history of Islamic faith and cultural heritage. They have maintained their distinct identity, including their religious practices, despite external influences over the centuries. Because of this, the people in the region identified as a separate people who wanted their own state with leaders who represented their values. One of the initial breaking points of the conflict can be traced back to the late 1960s when the Moro National Liberation Front MNLF was formed under the leadership of Numaswari. The MNLF demanded an independent Islamic state encompassing Mindanao and other parts of the southern Philippines. The group sought to address the perceived marginalization and historical grievances of the Moro people. Tensions escalated further when negotiations between the Philippine government and the MNLF broke down. The declaration of martial law by then-President Ferdinand Marcos in 1972 exacerbated the conflict. Under martial law, the government pursued a policy of centralization and assimilation, which clashed with the aspirations of the Moro people for self-governance and cultural preservation. The Moro National Liberation Front MNLF employed various battle methods and weapons during the Moro conflict in their fight for self-determination. They utilized guerrilla warfare tactics, including ambushes and hit-and-run attacks, taking advantage of the region's terrain. Improvised explosive devices were used to inflict casualties and disrupt government forces. Small arms like rifles and pistols were common weapons for close-quarter combat, while mortars and rocket launchers allowed them to engage from a distance. Sniper attacks targeted government personnel. These tactics showcased the MNLF's adaptability in the conflict's challenging environment. Understanding their methods provides insights into the dynamics of asymmetric warfare and the complexities of the conflict. There were multiple international forces who supported both sides in the conflict, and there were also other groups who were looking to capitalize on the power vacuum created by the chaos and disorder in the region. During the Moro conflict, there were instances where communist groups provided support, including financial assistance, to certain rebel factions. It is important to note that this involvement varied over time and among different factions within the conflict. Communist groups, such as the Communist Party of the Philippines (CPP) and its Soundwing, the New People's Army (NPA), espoused a revolutionary ideology aimed at overthrowing the Philippine government and establishing a communist state. In pursuit of their objectives, these groups sought to forge alliances and support other armed struggles against the government. In the context of the Moro conflict, some factions within the Moro separatist movements, such as the Moro National Liberation Front MNLF and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front MILF, shared common objectives of challenging the Philippine government's authority and seeking self-determination. This led to tactical alliances and, in some cases, cooperation with communist groups. It is important to note that most of the Muslim people in the Moro region did not necessarily align with the communist ideologies just because they received arms or monetary support. The United States offered military training and assistance to the armed forces of the Philippines AFP to enhance their capabilities in combating insurgency and maintaining security in the region. This support aimed to promote stability and counter the threat of extremist groups operating in the southern Philippines. During the Moro conflict, there were reports of atrocities committed by various parties involved. It is important to note that the conflict spanned several decades, and the nature and scale of the atrocities may have varied over time. Both government forces and militant groups were accused of committing human rights abuses, including extrajudicial killings, disappearance, torture, and indiscriminate attacks on civilian populations. There were reports of incidents where civilians were caught in the crossfire, resulting in civilian casualties. The peace process in the Moro conflict has been a complex and ongoing endeavor aimed at achieving a peaceful resolution and addressing the aspirations of the Moro people. Several key developments have shaped the peace process over time. In 1976, the Philippine government under President Ferdinand Marcos entered into a Tripoli agreement with the Moro National Liberation Front MNLF. The agreement outlined the creation of autonomous regions in the southern Philippines and paved the way for the establishment of the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao in 1990. However, dissatisfaction with the and continued grievances led to the formation of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front MILF in 1984. The MILF emerged as a more radical faction, seeking greater autonomy and self-governance for the Moro people. Efforts to achieve a comprehensive and lasting peace continued, resulting in the signing of the Framework Agreement on the Bangsamoro FAB in 2012 between the Philippine government and the MILF. This agreement laid the groundwork for the establishment of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao BARMM, replacing the In 2014, the Comprehensive Agreement on Bangsamoro CAB was signed, providing a more detailed roadmap for the transition towards the BARMM. The CAB included provisions on power sharing, wealth sharing, and normalization processes, addressing security concerns and the decommissioning of MILF combatants. The current status of peace in the region is a mixed one. While the establishment of the BARMM signifies a significant milestone towards autonomy and self-governance for the Moro people, challenges remain. Implementation of the peace agreements, including the normalization process and addressing socio-economic disparities, is an ongoing task. There are still factions and armed groups operating outside the peace process, posing challenges to the overall stability of the region. Efforts to address these challenges, promote inclusivity, and ensure the sustainable development of the BARMM are vital for achieving long-lasting peace in the region. The peace process in the Moro conflict continues to evolve, with various stakeholders working towards the goal of a just and lasting peace. It requires continued commitment, dialogue, and collaboration among all parties involved to address historical grievances, promote reconciliation, and create a peaceful and prosperous future for the Moro people and the region as a whole. If you are interested in world history and would like Crisis Chronicles to do an episode focusing on a specific conflict, please submit an email to us and we would be happy to entertain your suggestions. Thank you for watching this episode of Crisis Chronicles. Please subscribe to our channel and we will see you next time.